Hi, and welcome back to Nitty Knotty Hand-Dyed Yarns beginner crochet series. So in our last video we went over our slip stitches. This video will do our single crochet. So I've started and done my foundation chain with this fuzzy yarn here. Now if you recall, with the slip stitches we did not skip any chains, and that's because it's such a short stitch, it just kind of folds over. With the single chain or single crochet, you're going to want to go into the second chain from the hook. Now we don't cut the one that's on our hook, so 1, 2. And again, I like to go into the back bump as opposed to the V on the front, just because it makes for a nicer looking border. Okay, so we'll go in through that back bump, we'll grab up a loop, then we'll yarn over one more time and go through both loops on your hook. So enter into that back bump, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and go through both loops on the hook. In through the back, pull up a loop, yarn over and through both loops on the hook. And I'm just going to do that all the way across, and then I'll show you how to turn. And if you're having trouble working into your foundation chain, you probably chained it too tightly. It's pretty common, especially if you're just learning. Just pull it apart and start your chain over again. Try to do a little more loosely. Okay, so now I'm to the end of my row. Okay, now because I have a bit taller of a stitch, I need to chain 1, just like we chained our foundation chain. You chain 1. Now if I turn my project this way, then my yarn has to go across the project, and we don't want that. So we're going to turn our project this way so the yarn stays in the back and doesn't cross over our work. Sorry about that, got a little low. So we're going to chain and then turn our project this way so that our yarn is not crossing our work. Okay, now because our stitch is a little bit taller, we are going to go into this next chain after we chained that 1 stitch. So we're not going into this first stitch here because our chain 1 counts as that first stitch from here on out, and we'll go into the V now, because now we have a V on top. Go into the V, pull up a loop, yarn over and through both loops on the hook. Now you can see it a little better now, so it's nice and straight on the side, because that first stitch we had, the chain 1 counts as that first stitch. Okay, and then we'll chain, I'm sorry, not chain, we'll go into our V, pull up a loop. Oh no, what am I doing here? Oh my goodness, look at that. I'm getting ahead of myself. I was trying to do a double. So we'll go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both. Make sure you always get that last stitch. That's why it's important to count. With some of the stitches, it's really hard to tell if you've gotten to that last stitch. The taller the stitches get, the harder it is really to see, because your work is more pliable. So it's easier to pull it one way or the other and convince yourself you've got them all, but you don't. So always count your stitches. And then again, if we're going to turn with a single stitch, we only chain one. We turn our project in this direction so that our yarn does not have to cross over our work. Then we skip this first stitch because we have that chain one that counts as our first stitch, and we are going to go into that second stitch through the V, pull up a loop, yarn over and through both loops on the hook, and then just continue along in that fashion. That is your single stitch.